Hey, what's up, everybody? It is October, it is Q4, and we are at the verge of something monumental or something completely disastrous, and we're going to talk about it. I think today, we got a little bit of a pump here. We're back above $3, which is key. We want to stay above that $3 level. You could see right here that we are building a base. All right. So we broke out and we came back and now we're building a base. So the big question is, in this range, do we break out of the range or do we break below the range? If we break below the range, we could still have a massive breakout to $8 or so, right? So if you look, we have, and I've said this many times, but those that are new here, we have what appears to be a potential flat, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like we're getting wave 5. That's one idea. And that idea would basically mean, yeah, we're going up into wave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's go wave 5. Now, the alternative to that, if the range breaks to the downside, then I would look at it as a 1, 2, 3 wave move. Well, that's funny because we also have a 3 wave move here and we have a 3 wave move there. So that's exactly what this kind of move is, right? So we have a move to the upside, right? We have 3 waves down, we have 3 waves up, and then we have 3 waves back down. And right now, we're right in this range here. So we would potentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to finish it off if we do break down. So if we break down, we're still bullish. We're still bullish. So it's okay, right? So we're still in a bullish consolidation. Remember, we had a massive explosion and now we're consolidating sideways, right? We're impulsing to the upside and we're correcting in this range. So typically you get what's called a continuation, right? You get a continuation pattern. Now, do we continue right this minute, right now, and we go up? Or do we continue later on and go up? So there's really, let's see, there's one idea. And then the blue idea is so basically there you go. There's the two ideas. Either we break out now or we break out a little bit later. So there you go. I mean, it's pretty simple. Now, what if none of those occur? And what if we have a complete disaster and a meltdown? Well, what does that look like? Well, guess what? Even if we had a complete meltdown disaster, guess what? We're still going to $8 to $10. How many people can say that? And you can say, well, you're crazy. There's no way. Well, yes, there is a way, and I'll explain it exactly. So the big part is everybody is looking at this. Not a lot of people are looking at this, right? So that is the bigger situation. Now you could say, well, it doesn't matter if XRP is bullish because it really matters about global liquidity, the stock market, and yeah, that is true to an extent. But at the same time, if you look, for example, at the stock market, we're relatively at the all-time highs. And look at the Russell, it's on the verge of breaking out. Look at Bitcoin, it's set the highest quarterly close in Bitcoin's history. Same thing with XRP, right? So if you look at the 3-month candle, right, we just had, we're basically trading above. Think about that just for 1 second. The current quarterly candle is trading above the highest quarterly candle in XRP's history. How many people are saying that? I just don't hear anyone saying that. So, yeah. So there you go. We're looking exceptionally bullish on this. Now, what if we're bearish? What if we have to break down and this is just we have an event like some type of financial event, and a cutting interest rate cut capitulation where during the cutting cycle, you do get big drawdowns. Look at C19. Or what if it's something economically related or central bank related, Federal Reserve, right? Anything that would cause a ruckus, something in the financial markets that would cause something like that. Well, let's talk about it. If that were to occur, what would be the choice? Well, I'm going to put a members video out this week explaining exactly how I'm preparing for the next move, rather it be a complete disaster or a beautiful situation. We'll see exactly how it plays out. But yeah, I'm going to explain, exactly what I will do. But here's the deal. If we do break down, and this, let's say we start coming down, right? It starts coming down. We still have that flat potential. But if it comes down like this, it could still be an expanded flat, right? So we have a lot of wiggle room up here. We have a lot of wiggle room. I mean, theoretically, technically, where's my little guy at here? Technically, we are right at, okay, so technically, if we want to stay bullish, all we got to do is stay above that right there. But who the hell wants to go all the way back down to 75 cents or 90 cents? Unless you missed it, right? So as long as we stay above 75 cents, technically, from a big picture, from this wave's perspective, from the degree that we're talking about, which is this wave here, we're still technically bullish, right? Because you have an impulse to the upside. And if we did have a correction, if we did have to pull back, we could literally pull back all the way down here before then going into a massive pump to the upside, right? So here's how that could look like. Actually, let me put a zone. And I don't even think it would come down here. I mean, it's possible, but you still have a lot of support right in here, right? And I think this would be a more applicable scenario. And let's do that like a light blue. There we go. Perfect. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So what I would say then is if this is going to come down, right? We would see it come down, obviously, right? But then how do you know if it's an expanded flat or an actual bear market? Well, because during the retrace, for example, this would come down, right? 1, 2, and I'm talking about the bearish scenario. This is not my main idea. I'm talking about if we just talked about the main ideas, but if the main ideas don't play out and we have a catastrophe, how will that look? Okay, so we would come down in 5 ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what would happen is we would attempt to come back up. Now, here's 2 things. If we get rejected in here, then we're most likely coming down. If we come down and we come back up, then we're retracing. Then I would look at this situation right here. So I would say if we come all the way down, like to $1.40, $1.50, right? Right around that area, right there. Then at that point, we need to get back above 250, 270. I don't think anybody's talking about this, right? This is an insurance policy. So I'm letting you know right away what we should look for, right? So if we start coming back up, we have to look at, is it impulsive? Is it corrective? How does it look, right? Because we can still easily get back above this line, right? So if we're crashing, we could easily get back above the line. But then here's the big part. Do we get through the retrace after? So if we do, so here's the whole thing. If we do crash, right? If we have a big crash, then how does the retrace look? First of all, you don't want to panic, right? Let's say this crashes. Don't sell your XRP right there. That would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. That's not financial advice. I could be wrong. It could be the smartest move you can ever do. But just coming from what I think it would be terrible. Because most of the time, when you do get a big crash, what happens? You get a retrace. And if we could get through the retrace level, then we can hit, $5, $6, $7. We got to get through this, the all-time high, of course, but most importantly, the retrace levels. So I would just put, depending where we fall. Now we could fall, a lot farther down. I wouldn't say too much further down, but if I just put a line right at the 618 and the 702, and then let me get rid of that, okay, to make it a little bit more clear. And again, if we fall down, it's okay, because it could be a flat and we can go to outer space. But if it's not, and we fall down, then we can come back up. And if we can't get through the retrace levels, first of all, if we do get through the retrace level, that'll just be an expanded flat and we can go to outer space. But if we can't get through the retrace level, then it'd be like a crash, a retrace, and then we would have to come all the way back down, right? Probably breaking the low. Okay. And then we would have some kind of a consolidation in here, kind of like that, right? So, and then at that point, then we can start rounding out and then go to that $8 to $10. Guys, no matter what, it's coming. No matter if you like it or not, $8 to $10 is coming. I'm letting you know that. You know why it's coming? Because it's called ammunition. We have plenty of ammunition on the horizon. Basically, what makes prices go up is what we have to look forward to. Now, for example, if I go buy a Walmart stock, what do I have to look forward to? Nothing, except for what? Earnings. Because that stock basically relies on how much Walmart sells and how much Walmart grows, right? But Walmart's been around a while. I don't see it growing exponentially more than it already is. But for example, XRP, something that just barely not even got regulated. By the way, XRP is not a security. You guys already know. At that point, then what? So we do have a lot of ammunition. For example, the XRP ETF should be coming out pretty soon. And that will definitely cause something. Because what happens is people were all giddy about the XRP ETF right around in here. But now nobody's talking about the XRP ETF. And that's exactly how they do it. Right? You get complacent. You kind of start to forget about it. You start to like, okay, well, it's not going to happen, So you basically kind of forget about it, right? So eventually, I shared an article, the previous video, explaining, that article was just like a couple days old, and it explained what, we have the government shutdown going on right now, so it could delay it a little bit further. But the big reason why it got delayed, the XRP ETF, is because they had to redo the framework on how they approach securities in terms of digital assets. Because the Howey test is an old test, and it doesn't apply to a blockchain, something you can't see with the naked eye. You know what I mean? So it's, so now they have this framework in place. And they did a lot of work on it. It's not like the SEC commissioners doing nothing. I'm sure they're doing a lot. And, and it took, the Democrats are to blame because they took forever to get the guy approved. They're just basically obstructing everything Trump's trying to do good for the country because they don't want him to get any more credit than he's already gotten. So right now we're kind of in a limbo state because yes, we could get a big breakout, or the breakout could come later, or the breakout can come much later. So either way, we're going to get it, but it's just like, well, when does it happen? You know what I mean? So let's keep looking around and trying to figure it out. So right now, it's actually not so bad. It's actually doing pretty good. So what I would say, though, is I would really want to avoid the flat, right? So we already got an expanded flat. And if I actually, if I go down here and I take a bars pattern, just to give you an idea of what it could potentially look like, it would be a bigger version of this, really. You know, so if I just extend it out a little bit, there we go. Would you look at that? So that's kind of how, you know, that's kind of how it would look. And it actually lines up not too bad, right? So there you go. So here's what I'll say. And I'm glad I did this because look, you know, let's say we come down in 3. So we, you know, it's a boom, 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 right? It's a flat, right? So on the way back up, if we get rejected in here, then we could probably come back down here or get a higher low, then break out, right? But typically, you know, you get something like this, we should be on our way. That should be enough. But again, if it's not, then we would have to come down. So how does that look? Well, I'll give a little more detail on the member video, but essentially, you have this main area here, right? That should get tested, right? But then what would the count be? What would the philosophy be behind it? Well, you know, you could look at this as a 1, 2, and then we have another 1, 2, and then another 1, 2, right? So it could be something like a 1, 2, 1, 2, very bullish pattern, right? Where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and then you have, you know, for example, 3 down, 3 up, and then maybe 3 back down, something more complex than it already is, right? So it would be kind of like, for example, let me show you this right here. So if you look, this is a flat right there. Boom, boom, boom. Well, come on. Boom, boom, right? So if this is a more complex flat, boom, 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 like that, then you can go up. But guess what? What if it's even more complex than that, right? So for example, boom, 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 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go up. And what that would do is give us also a 3-wave shape. It would also flag us out, and it will also stay above the 618. And basically, you'd have a big impulse, and then we would flag out for probably a year or so, unfortunately. And how long is that? Geez, that's all the way July of 2027. That's a long time. That's a sickening amount of time. Because right now we're basically in 2026, so that would be a little longer than a year and a half, right? That would be a year and a half to 2 years going through all that crap. Imagine having to go through that. Just based off the size alone, right? If it were to be complex, it could look something like that, right? And I actually like that idea a lot. And then you can say again, 1, 2, right? And then you have 1, 2, 1, 2. If this could be 1, 2, 1. So this is 1, 2 of 1. This could be 1, 2, 1, 2 of 3. Okay. So more on that later. There's other stuff too, but if you want to check out the members video, again, I you know, trying to put out 2 a month and basically go over what I would do in the situations that could occur, rather it be bullish or bearish, right? So it's been relatively boring the last month because there's not really much going on. So, but I believe things are about to get spicy, very spicy. Again, we just hit Q4. Now you can say, well, that doesn't matter. Well, it matters because, you know, we have different futures contracts, you know, we're in a different cycle. You know, each quarter is a cycle in itself. Not talking about crypto, but just global markets in general. And typically Q4 in the stock market, especially Trump, this is his first year as president. He wants his first year, the numbers to be good, I would assume, right? So I'm sure they're going to, and I don't really believe a lot of the economic numbers, and neither does Trump, even if they're bad or good, because at the end of the day, it's all computers and derivatives and statistical information that's not really true or a reflection to the real economy. So anyways, that's pretty much it for XRP. We'll look a little bit closer, but essentially I will provide another idea. Obviously, the 1212, but what else could it be? Well, if we get rid of everything, come on, what's going on here? Remove drawing. So if we get rid of everything and we just put a trend line here, remember, we still broke above that trend line, which is extremely important. And if I put this trend line here, you could still see, right? We have, in fact, we still have a triangle, right? We still have A, B, C, D, and E. So this is a big deal, and people seem to forget that. Now, so if you just type in Google, what is the target of an Elliott wave contracting triangle, it tells you want to basically get to the widest point. So that's exactly what we'll do. But the problem with that is, do you do it on regular scale or linear scale? So if I measure this as a triangle, and you basically take the length from here to here, that whole thing, and you take that and you put it right at the point of breakout, well, would you look at that? It's literally exactly the same. So are we over with and that's it and we're going to crash and burn? Gee, I hope not. But if you look at this, according to some sources, for measuring the target of Elliott wave, you should generally use logarithmic scale. While both log and linear scale, blah, 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 you can read that. So now let's go to log and let's open this up again. Okay. And we'll go to the widest part of the triangle where it actually connects. And that would be from here to there. Okay. And then basically what we could do is there's two ways you could do it. Come on, why is it doing that? You could do one, you could start it from there, right? And we'll actually do two, a conservative line and a more bullish line. So from there to there, and then we'll take that and then we'll actually put that right there. And then what we'll do is we'll take a rectangle and we'll put it connecting to the top to the bottom right there. And then we can get rid of these two ugly lines. Come on now. Right there. Get rid of that one right there. So that's basically the target for this contracting triangle. And I really like it. And what is the target, by the way? It is exactly between, say, $8.30 and all the way up to like almost $16. So between 8 and 16. Now, I'm sure this will be different on the actual XRP market cap chart, which is definitely more conservative. Let's do that really fast. So I'm going to put it right there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it up there. But you know what? Actually, it actually is interesting because this went higher, it actually pushed the trend line a little bit higher. So to compensate, maybe I'll just put a little bit lower. So there you go, right there. So what is the percentage increase? That's how we're going to look for it. So if you go to tools and you go right where we're at right now, and I go all the way up, that's about 350%. Okay, now let's go back to XRP price chart, and then what we'll do is we'll go up 350%. This is going to give us a much more accurate reading. So in matter of fact, it's actually about the same. So yeah, it's right in the blue zone. So 350% is actually around that $13, which coincidentally coincides with our main Fibonacci line, which is, if you look at our handy dandy Fibonacci, and we just slam that right there, and we put that back on log scale, just like so, or off log scale rather, you can see, well, would you look at that, $13 hits our 4.236 extension. So one day we'll get there, guys. One day we'll get there. Hopefully it's soon, man. The first bull run, 2017, I was in. I did not have enough. I just got in September, so I didn't have enough to show for. Plus, I didn't really take profit because I didn't know what the hell I was really doing. 2021 bull run, I made some decent money, but my biggest holding was XRP. But XRP did not go on a bull run. It just went on this little retrace. And now, fast forward to this bull run, I said, okay, because remember, well, I still made some good money here because I had Chainlink and THETA and VeChain and a few other ones that did really well on. But it wasn't my main holding. So this bull run, this bull run, I missed it. I was only in Bitcoin. This bull run, we didn't get a bull run. So now we're in our third bull run, and it's like totally different than any other bear market because a lot of coins are down in the gutter. Some of them are up. So my biggest holding hasn't really experienced a price discovery moment for my biggest holding, right? It did so for THETA and Chainlink and others that I had. I had Polkadot. That one did really good too. So, yeah, so hopefully if we ever get there, I believe we will get there. Once we get there, then I can finally say, yes, we had a completely successful bull run because it was, in fact, my biggest holding that actually got us there. The good thing about it, though, is I was able to accumulate more. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's what we're still looking like, guys. We're still looking at, that would be a, let's see here. So if I put this in log scale, you could see it actually lines up nicely with the 4.14 and the 1.272. So let's just do that right there. Take a screenshot. All right. So now let's remove all of that. I don't know why I keep doing that. Okay, right there. And so what we really want to do is just stay above these two lines here. Again, I would really look, if we do have an expanded flat, I would look for this area to be tested and then we go up, right? So we're at $3. We could literally go all the way down to 150 and it'd still be incredibly bullish. Just remember that. So even if we dump, it's not the end of the world. Now, let's talk about the smaller time frames. I still don't like this stupid triangle. We really need to break out of this triangle. Otherwise, it's going to come down. So that's kind of what we've been waiting for the last several weeks. I mean, how long have we been in this son of a gun? I mean, no, it's been longer than that. So basically all of August, all of September, and August, September. So a little over 2 months we've been just consolidating, right? And I don't like how it's an M and it's an M and we're cupping down, we're cupping down, we're cupping down. So this is a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. So if we cup down again, then you're just weakening this structure, and then what's going to happen is it's going to crash. So just understand that. I'm letting you know right now that's going to happen if we can't get the hell out of here. So we really, 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 really need to break above 315. Like, that is critical. We have to do it. If we don't, we're screwed. At least for a while. At least for a couple months, So how long did this take? Let's see. So if we look how long the first took from here, from the top to the bottom, that was 127 days. Perfect. So we'll say 130 days. So from the bottom to the top, how long did that take? That took about 100, we'll say 100 days. So between 100 and 130 days, okay? Remember that. Between 100 and 130 days, that's how much we have to wait. But we've already started. So let's go on. We're going to go to 100 days. So that comes in at Halloween. Well, basically Halloween, basically the end of the month. Okay? And then if I go to 130 days, that should be basically the end of November. So it's either going to be, so that's not too bad, actually. That's not too bad. So let's put, what we're going to do now is take a vertical line, and we're going to put it at the end. We'll basically just put it right there, and we'll put it at the beginning of December right there. So yeah, so in between those two lines, so we have 3 down, 130 days, 3 up, 100 days, 3 back down, between 100 and 130 days, right? Something like that. And then we go up, right? So we're almost there, really, if you look at it from a time perspective. So okay, so let's zoom in now and let's look at the fun stuff, the small time frame. So when I look at the small time frames, it actually looked pretty good. You can see we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Looks kind of like a diag or so. Some kind of a diagonal, right? And then you have 3-wave pullback, right? And then what is this? Is this a 1 and that's a 2? Maybe we're going to go up for another 1 and another 2 and then continue up. That's definitely the bullish idea, right? So, we got point A, point B. You're right in the middle, so be cautious. But basically, it comes down to 2 ideas. If this is a finished wave, then we can get going and start breaking out. Or what we have here is 3 waves down, and we're going to get 3 waves up, just like I believe we talked about yesterday. And then we would get either 3 or 5 waves down. So let's say it's 5. And then we go up, and that's an ABC right there. So that would look pretty, pretty good, right? It would look like, 3, wait a minute. It would be trying to get it where I can zoom out, but then also show you what it looks like, so we have 1, 2, and then 3, and then go up. But if we break below this line, or this zone rather, if we break below this zone, I would be very nervous. We have to stay above that zone. So really our zone is actually smaller than we think it is. It's actually right. I hate how they do the new updates where you have to go back and forth. Here we go. So our zone is right there. So right now we're at the upper part of the zone. Right? We're at the upper part. So what we're going to do is take the middle line and put it right about there. Actually, what we're going to do is take a Fibonacci from this zone. And I mean, I guess you could put it lower, but it really, if you go any lower than that, it's more likely going to break. So that's why I'm going to have it right there. And then we're going to put a secondary zone right here. And that's basically our line in the sand right there. So we really got to stay above that. So, we're here to here. I mean, this is game on. So let's see how it plays out. I really, if we start rolling down and it looks sad, it's probably going to break down. If we could get a nice pop out of here, it could be a fake out. We have to remember that. But we want to see it kind of sustain up there. So we'll see how it plays out. But essentially that's about it for XRP. Now when I look at the super small time frames, it actually looks pretty good. I think we're going to get more upside here. You know, you have this little, it's starting to rev up. You kind of broke out a little bit of a running flat. Looks like it wants to, it looks like it wants to play around a little bit and you know, hopefully move up. We have this zone, which, where did it go? Where's the zone at? Oh, it's way the hell over there. Okay, so let me put it right there then. Yeah, so yeah, we just need to get above this zone here and actually really get above these two highs, because if we could do that, then we have a higher high, right? So, and then we could break that descending triangle, that god-awful descending triangle. So same thing with XLM. You can see it very clearly in XLM a lot better. You could see 3 waves down, you see 3 waves up, and then we could get 3 waves back down and then go up, right? So Wednesdays and Thursdays are the most volatile days of the week, you could say bullishly, right? Especially if we're bullish, Thursdays and Wednesdays, and if we're bullish, Thursdays and Wednesdays are very bullish. If we're bearish, Wednesdays and Thursdays are very bearish. Just so we understand. So, yeah. So basically the 8th and the 9th of this week, and that makes sense. So if we actually wanted to be bearish now, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. So we'll say Wednesday and Thursday. Right around there. So in reality, this could come all the way down just like this and then have a massive blast off, and that could give us a good 3-wave move, and it would make sense from a timing perspective. Or if this is going to be cool, it could push a little bit higher. But even if it did push higher, let's say it popped up a little bit, well, then it could still just be a bigger flat, maybe a running flat, right? Either way, we should get this move back down. So unless this is a 1-2 and now we're going into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is also very possible, right? Because this could be like a 1-2, 1-2, 3, and then 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it looks pretty good right there for XLM. So, and then what I really wish I would have seen is for this low to come a little bit lower. That way we have that sloping situation, because we don't want it. Well, a double bottom is also good. So we do have a double bottom here. And we have a 3-way pullback, and we have a double bottom, and we have an impulse, and it looks bullishly like it's flagging out. So it actually looks pretty good. So if I do this, so for XLM, it looks like we did break above the downward resistance line. Totally broke above it, like without question. Look at that. So if XLM broke above the downward resistance line, then that's a good sign. That's at least one little thing, you know, giving us some indication. Now, it also kind of looks like, you know, you got a little bit of a hit there, a hit there, a hit there, a falling wedge, which is also very bullish. Falling wedges usually come back to the top. So it could be that we have, for example, 3 waves down, right? And if this comes up 1, 2, 3, and we shoot up here into the retrace levels, which I think we will, that still doesn't mean we're going to break out from here. It could mean that we would need another then 3 back down, then go up. So those are the 2 options. Just like I laid out 2 bullish options for XRP, those are the 2 options for XLM. So there we go. Right? And then it becomes even bigger than that, because, you know, you have 3 down, 3 up. This could be 3 down, right? Before going up. Or, for example, if this were to get something like that, then like that, then like that. Nah, that would be too big. I don't think that would be right. So, small time frames, yeah, it looks a little bit like it's struggling in here. I don't know if I trust it completely, especially after a 3-wave move like that. And especially because it's Monday. Usually Mondays are not so nice. You know, usually you don't want a bullish Monday. You really want a bearish Sunday and a bearish Monday in order to get a neutral Tuesday, in order to get a bullish Wednesday and Thursday. That's kind of how I've seen it go down typically. I mean, it really depends. It's not a for sure thing at all. But there you go. So, XLM, there we go. So, without a doubt in my mind, XLM looks really, really good, especially, guys, on the larger time frames. I mean, look at this guy. So, honestly, I wouldn't even buy XRP. I would just buy XLM. If you're going to buy XRP, just buy XLM. Because I think it's going to be a better percentage increase. And, you know, obviously, if we had the XRP ETF, it might be a little bit of a disconnect. But I think ultimately, you know, because if you look at the 1618 on XLM, the percentage is actually more than that of XRP. So, you know, it's also a triangle, right? A, B, C, D, and E, right? Or someone can say A, B, C, D, and then we still have to come down for E and do that, right? In that case, it would be 3 waves down. So, guys, if we did have a massive crash, and what that would do is it would give us literally a 3-wave move if we had a big crash. And that would be like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Right? And then we would go up. So A, B, C, D, E, go. So, yeah. So, the monthly candle looking pretty good. The 2-month candle looking even better. Look at the 2-month, guys. We're trading above all the other candles, which is very good. That's some serious business there. So I would say you have 30 days left for this 2-month candle to end. If we could close above that line, man, we're in some business now. Let me make sure that line is straight. See how crooked it is? Let's go up. Let's bring it down. There we go. That's a little bit better. So that's right at that 42-cent level. So what about the 3-month chart? Ooh, yeah, the 3-month also looks really good. It's actually the highest it's ever been. So if the candle closed right now, that'd be the highest 3-month candle ever. So XLM has not had the highest quarterly candle close since going back to 2021, guys. So look at this thing. This thing is the real deal, man. So, you know, we flagged out. We had a big impulse, and now we're bullishly consolidating. We're cupping into the resistance, right? You could see a cup right there, a cup there, a cup there. So, I mean, I still believe, guys, we're bullish, and we're going to break out to the upside. But if we don't, if there's some disaster, if there's some news event that brings us down and capitulates us, well, guess what? We're still gonna go up. You know, we just have to, we just have to see how it plays out. But essentially, everything looks great now. Bitcoin, oh my God, we're at 125,000. Bruh. That's so cool. Look at that. So I didn't even notice that. So Bitcoin just broke out of basically Bitcoin just had a new all-time high. Hello. Bitcoin is at a new all-time high right now, right this second. All-time high right this second. Boom. So $125,000. Let's go. Every time Bitcoin up, it makes me so sad because I bet one Bitcoin in 2021 that Trump would win, and he did win, but it was stolen from him, just like how my Bitcoin was stolen from me. So I basically lost $125,000 if I would have never made that bet. That's a sick feeling, honestly, really bad. So I try not to think about it. It was my decision, and I got toasted on it. So the guy that I was betting, actually, the only reason he bet me was to cover his bet, because he bet Trump would win too, and he had a funny feeling, and then he bet me. Oh well, it is what it is. It was very painful then. It's kind of even painful now, but luckily I make up for it with XRP. But look, dude, we're at $125,000. Yeah, I bet him right. I bet him right here. August, October, right in November. So right as I basically did it right there, which was the most worst place you could do it, and then I lost out on all that, but whatever. All right, so man, Bitcoin's on a tear right now, guys. Okay, it comes down to two ideas. It's always two ideas. The first idea is that we have a little bit of a pullback, an impulse, a three-way pullback, and then a 1-2, and now we're going up for 3, 4, and 5. Very simple. Very simple. This is going to break out and go on basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty simple. Or what I think could even be better, and it could give us a better altcoin possibility, is 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and it's a flat, and then we get 3 waves back down, and then we go up. Or it could be 5. It just depends. So that would be actually really cool if we could come down, because what that would do is it would give us more time. That's what we need. We need time. We need time for these altcoins to get moving. We need time for the XRP ETF to come into play. We need time for regulations, right? So Bitcoin is doing exactly what it needs. Bitcoin is actually probably the best coin in this cycle, not really in percentage terms, but as far as always showing up when it counts. Because right now, the altcoins definitely need some love. So Bitcoin is at an all-time high, guys. So that basically gives the green light for the altcoins. Really? If we're going, because remember, okay, let's look at this. If we go back to XRP, what happened the last time Bitcoin broke out? Well, look at this right here. So we were at all-time highs, and then what happened? Bitcoin broke out into a new all-time high. Well, what happened to the altcoins during that time? Well, let's take a look. XRP actually exploded when Bitcoin exploded. So guess what, guys? If Bitcoin's exploding now into another new all-time high, that's going to give ammunition to XRP for itself to go into another move to the upside. So let's bring it. That's why that's why I'm not going into 50% cash. I don't know why. I mean, I know why BCB did. I totally respect it, and it could be totally right, and we could still come down. But I didn't want to go into 50% cash until I really saw some signs. And you can say, well, by that time it was too late. Yeah, but we do get retraces. Remember that. So when would I go into cash? I would go into cash if XRP breaks below that. I would go into a little bit of cash. And then if it gives us a 3-way move, and then we come back up, and then we break back above it, then I would take my 50% cash and put it back in upon breaking back above that line. So that's kind of how I would play it. And don't pay any attention to that, because I'm saving a lot of that for the members video. No, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's not just cut and dry, so simple. But anyways, let me get rid of that. So yeah, we're at new all-time highs. I mean, let's go. And nobody's even talking about it. And okay, so let's look at the small. So the small time frames look a little bit cooked. They look cooked. I bet the RSI is cooked. Yep. You got divergence there. Well, so you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think it's done. I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, just about. I would say just about before a little bit of a correction, right? So now Bitcoin, what Bitcoin has to do, since it wanted to be a little bit cocky and break out, then what now Bitcoin has to do is stay above. It's kind of like if a dirt bike, like a motocross guy, wins every race, and he's winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, right? So then what happens? People expect him to win, right? And if he doesn't win, then he sucks. Versus somebody who never wins and then finally wins his first race. Oh my God, you're so great. Yeah, but he just barely won one race. This guy's been winning every week. Yeah, but he didn't win this week, right? So it it only matters when it actually matters, right? When the race is on. So we watched the Motocross of Nations. It's basically, so this was a piece of it right here. Yeah, it was basically Motocross of Nations. Basically all the countries, you know, Japan, Australia, I mean, they all race, you know, and it's really cool. I mean, this place was lit. I mean, basically it's the Olympics of motocross. It was actually in Indiana. It's called the Motocross of Nations. Team USA did not win. Team Australia won, but I already knew that was going to happen. Jet Lawrence is just unbelievable. For Team America, it was Eli Tomac. It was supposed to be Hayden Deegan, but he broke his collarbone. And so it ended up being R.J. Hampshire, which, yeah, he didn't really perform that well. And then Justin Cooper, he did okay. But, yeah, Team Australia for the win. But you know what? Australia, the Australian boys, they're actually Americans, you know. So I say America won anyways because they actually live in the United States. Everything they do is in the United States. They're basically Americanized Australian boys. But anyways, it was a cool race. Very exciting. Tons of people. I personally didn't go. I got to watch it on TV. But, you know, pretty cool. Maybe next year. So XRP, is it going to break out? You know, Bitcoin just set a new all-time high. So what's going on with Bitcoin or with XRP? So actually, now what we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we have to look at Ethereum, and then we got to look at Bitcoin dominance. So these are going to be the two big boys that we need. Oh my God, we're already at 52 minutes. We're already at 52 minutes, guys. Wow. Okay, so Ethereum looks incredibly bullish to me, guys. I don't know what else to say. It looks super bullish. The reason why it looks so bullish is because you have this massive rally here. You have 3 waves down, you have 3 waves up, and you have 3 waves back down. You have a 1, 2, 3 wave move, okay? The market moves in 5s and 3s, right? And what happened is off of that, you have this 1, 2, now you have a 3. Now you're flagging out for a 4, ladies and gentlemen. Where's wave 5? We should get wave 5 coming in really soon. So it looks pretty damn good to me. And Bitcoin's at a new all-time high. And let's talk about the quarterly candle, which just closed, which is probably really... Oh, look at that. Ethereum, I didn't even know this. Ethereum just had the highest quarterly candle close in Ethereum's, what, 12, 13-year history? No, not that long. What am I talking about? Ethereum's not really that old. 2016, so 11-year history. Well, I wasn't far off. 11 years, bro. Come on. Look at that. How many males watch my channel versus how many females watch my channel? I don't know. Actually, I think it's in the statistics part. I have to take a look at it. But I think predominantly crypto and investing and stuff like that is mostly male driven. But, you know, there's a lot of excellent female traders out there. And sometimes a lot of times women are even better traders than men because women kind of see things a little bit different. Sometimes they can have a different approach. And, sometimes it kind of opens my eyes, and that doesn't necessarily mean because they're women, but it's just kind of interesting how that works. But Ethereum, the daily chart, are we on a 9? Okay, so this is a little bit scary. We're about to get a 9, guys. We're about to get a 9 sell. Okay, so it doesn't mean we're gonna die. It just means, you know, we're bleeding out, and we should be cautious here, right? So Ethereum looks actually really good. I mean, you have this impulse, right? Look at that. You had a 9 right there, and then you had a 3-way pullback. And then you had a 9 buy. Then you went up. Then you had a 9 sell. You had a 3-way pullback. And then you went up, and then you had a 9 sell, and then you had a 3-way pullback. And then you had a 9 buy, and now we're breaking out, and we're about to get a 9 sell. But I think that 9 sell isn't really a good one, because I think we could get a little bit of a 3-way pullback in here and get, like, you know, a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder here, right? Because it does look pretty good as far as a flat goes. You know, let me get rid of that. Let's put the bull market support band on. We didn't even hit that. So we got 3, and then we got 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a 3-way move. We barely missed the bull market support band, but we exploded off the low. So I will say we are definitely at a critical spot. We got to break above this area right here. So I would assume that we would flag out and then push higher. So I wouldn't get all excited yet. I would kind of wait and see if we can correct, because we did go up in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. So you got to be cautious here. So on the short term, we could be pulling back. So another very important video. If you can hit the like button, I really appreciate that. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. But Bitcoin dominance is actually not too bad. I mean, it looks like this could be a flat right there, right? If we flip it upside down, you can see the flat, right? A, B, C, right? And it doesn't look completely finished. I think it should have a little bit more to go here. Maybe a little bit more upside here in the short term, and then hopefully continue down. But if we break out of here, that would be a bad. Well, it wouldn't be bad. It would just mean that the Bitcoin bull run isn't over, right? When do alt seasons happen? After the Bitcoin bull run. So what if the Bitcoin bull? Maybe the reason we haven't got a real alt season yet is because we haven't had the finish line of the Bitcoin chart, right? So it could be that we're in some kind of a bigger cycle here, because if you look at this cycle, you can see it went up pretty fast, very quickly. This cycle was even faster, but this cycle we go up, we chill out. We go up, we chill out. We go up, we chill way out. We go up, we chill out. So we're just chilling more than anything, right? And what that does is it not only corrects through price, but it also corrects through time. And what that does is it makes people the idea that, you know, say Bitcoin hit 100,000. Well, guess what? Bitcoin at 100,000 is the new normal. If you were to say that back in 2019, everyone would think you're crazy. 100,000 Bitcoin, yeah, right. That's going to be, you know, everybody talked about 100,000. Now that $100,000 Bitcoin is here, now nobody talks about it, right? Because everyone is comfortable with it being 100,000. Everybody's getting used to it. So that involves complacency too. So yeah, man, this is really, I'm excited. I mean, this thing looks really good. And as far as that Bitcoin fractal, I don't really like it because it just looked too bullish right up in here. Right? We were building a base. We were getting these 3-way pullbacks, right? We were above the bull market support band, and now we're blasting, guys. We're blasting off right now. I don't know, you know, let's look. 15-minute chart. Look at the 15-minute chart. This is the highest 15-minute candle in history, guys. Do we not see that? Or I mean, this is the big deal. Now, I'm not saying it's going to keep going, but you know, you could get a little bit of a pullback in here, but it's definitely noteworthy for sure. Okay, let's look at some other stuff. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. So we basically, you know, we have a green day today. Let's look at Bitcoin, well, dog is the Bitcoin meme coin. So if Bitcoin's tearing, you know, maybe dog would as well. And I think dog is definitely in an interesting, I would be a little bit worried that this is a flat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. It could be very possible. So it's in a very interesting situation. If we could flag out and break out, you know, we have a 5-way move and a 3-way pullback. You know, 1, 2, 3. So if we could break out of here, that could be a 1, 2. Looks pretty good. So let's keep going down. Monero's another one you want to keep an eye on. It's not really the nicest one on the smaller time frame so far, but on the larger time frames, it looks phenomenal. So keep an eye on that one. Trump just had an all-time low. So I really like it because it kind of reminds me of Bitcoin here, where you had that triangle, you kind of broke down just a little bit. Same thing here, you had the triangle, and then you broke down a little bit, and then what happened? You had this boom, boom. You come up 1, 2, and then you shoot off, and then you shoot off, and then you know. So we could be at that situation. Another way to look at it is back over here. You know, you have this triangle here. You have the big drop, triangle, drop. Although that drop's pretty big. And then what happened? You came up, and it's basically the same story. So we'll see if that plays out. SHIB. So it's the same kind of thing as before, right? We were talking about the Wyckoff accumulation in here. You know, something like this, right? This is actually theta, but something like this, where you get, you know, this little creek phase in here, and then you slam the low, and then you continue higher. So if we look at SHIB, we can see right here where you have that little creek, and then you hit the low right in there, and now maybe it's finished, maybe not. I mean, I think there's a good chance it could be, and then you kind of circle up here and then go up. And then that's kind of your, you know, you could get a spring or more of a creek phase. So far it looks like a creek phase. And it also looks good because it's a 3-way move, right? You have an impulse and you have A, B, C. So you have a 3-way move. So if that's a 1 and a 2, this could literally, guys, go up into a 3. And it would be a very appropriate time to go up in 3 because Bitcoin is at a new all-time high. So what better time for SHIB to go into a wave 3 than now? Not only that, but SHIB has been in this much larger 3-way move, and it's building a base. So there's just bullishness on top of bullishness on top of bullishness. It's very hard to be bearish. So if I had to say it, I would say I'm 72% bullish, right? Or maybe we'll say 75. I'm like 75% bullish. So that means I'm 25% bearish. But if for example, you know, XRP breaks below this range, then I'll be, you know, 50%. I'll be neutral, because then I would expect it to be a flat. And if this fails, then I'll be 100% bearish, right? So it's all about timing on that. So I got into Polygon. I got into a trade on Polygon. Where the hell to go? There it is right there. So how's it doing? It's doing okay. I think I saw this little like 3-way move, and I got in right in somewhere around there. So it looks good for Polygon on the smaller time frames, but what's going on the higher time frames? I mean, it's basically the same thing as SHIB and Theta and everything else. We're building a base. It's the same thing, basically. AVAX, same thing, except we broken above the base, right? So AVAX was looking good. So AVAX, you know, you have an impulse, you have a 3-way pullback, you have a base, you broke out of the base, you're above the bull market support band. If you look at Consensio, which is the EMAs, you can see they're all relatively bullish. If we go to the weekly chart, they're all relatively bullish, right? And we just got the 200-week moving average printed. So looking pretty decent, I would say. Litecoin, Charlie Lee came out and said, I wish I never created Litecoin. I wish I would have just stuck with Bitcoin, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's funny that he would say that right at the moment where Litecoin looks like it could potentially break out. You know, Litecoin, if you look at Litecoin versus Bitcoin, it's been a complete disaster, right? So I could see why he feels that way. He probably had a lot of Bitcoin. He probably traded it for Litecoin or whatever. I don't really know, but yeah, he said, I would have just stuck with Bitcoin. But it's funny that he says that because we're right. You know, I posted this chart on the video on X, and basically if you look at Litecoin versus XRP, or if you look at it, compare it side by side, you can see something very interesting. Don't you see it? Right? So you had a rise, crash, retrace, rise, crash, retrace, and then you went into reaccumulation, and then you broke out. Well, we went into reaccumulation, but we have not yet broken out. So eventually, we should break out, which means Litecoin could be very, very bullish, especially the way it kind of looks like it's cocking back right now. Kind of like right there, kind of looks like right there. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see, if you kind of look like you have that wave there, and then you have, you know, this wave here, and then you have 3 waves there, 3 waves there, and then you pop up, and then you flag out, and then you pop up, and then you flag out. So let's see if we could get that. So here's XRP. I mean, I guess you could say it did break above the downward resistance line. You know, looking at it from this perspective, if in fact we are connecting that line there. So yeah, Litecoin looks pretty dang good, and it's above the bull market. So I really like it because you're flagging out on top of the bull market support band. That's really good. If we break below the bull market support band, then it's not so good, right? But the small time frames, you know, you had like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a 3-way pullback. You back tested the bull market support band. You had an impulse off of it, and now you're kind of flagging out in here. So looks pretty good. Let's see how it plays out. Now, Theta is going to be literally the exact same thing as SHIB. Pretty much the same thing. It's looking pretty decent right here. It's that same kind of creek phase that we looked at on that example where it drops down. So the idea is we want to get back up here and then go. So we want to build that range. I mean, we want to build this little cup in here and get out of there. So we're already starting the cup. You could see it right there. So let's see how it progresses. Because ultimately, we want to see it get back above. We want to break above this range and then eventually get back up here. So, IMX, I mean, you know, so let's just, I think that's pretty much it. Filecoin, whoa, Filecoin looks interesting. Doesn't it? Doesn't it look interesting to you? I mean, just look at this thing, man. It's like down in the dumps here, right? Either it's going to fall off a cliff or it's going to bust out. I mean, this thing is definitely coiling up for sure. And it kind of looks like it's cupping up. It's cupping up. It's cupping up. It looks like an inverse head and shoulders. It looks like it wants to break it very badly. I mean, we're basically at all-time lows. We're lower than we were when COVID hit, right? So this was the C19 crash. That's like Bitcoin being below $3,000 or $4,000. That's how crazy it is, right? So think about all the inflation that occurred during that time. So basically, Filecoin is cheaper pre-COVID than it is now. That's like, you know, buying a set of tires for your car in 2020 and then being cheaper today than they were back then. So I think Filecoin is a hell of a deal. Not financial advice, but I think it's a damn good deal, honestly. If I was looking for an altcoin to stack on a spot position, and for the best bang for your buck, I'd probably pick, definitely Filecoin would be one of them for sure. You can see we had this WXYXZ pattern right here, triple correction. So we have a very defined line. So if we could break that line, it's the real deal. Now ADA, OMG, ADA is also, oh my God, look at ADA, guys. It looks unbelievable. Look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And you have a three-way pullback off the bull market support band. You can't get any more bullish than that. Explain it to me. A 5-wave move, right? A 5-wave move and a 3-wave pullback off the bull market support band. That's really bullish. I mean, that's really bullish. So, ADA looks phenomenal. I may even go as far as potentially swapping some of my XRP for ADA. Simply because, you know, ADA has potentially more percentage terms to go than XRP. Now, it can't all be sunshine and rainbows because it could also be 3 down. This could be 3 waves up. And even if we do pop a little bit more, it could still be 3 waves up and then 3 waves down and then go up. So we have to be cautious about that. You know, this one had a nice little pop, 3-way pullback. Okay, ADA on the whole chart here looking good. I mean, basically we're close. I mean, we did break above this line here. So I'd say we're just kind of consolidating. We're basically waiting for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin just broke out. So I guess the wait is over. I mean, this literally could be breakout week, guys. See how fast it could change? Remember, last week it was so terrible, right? The end of September. But then now we're in a new month, and it's like, oh my God, what happened? So very interesting. Algorand. I mean, yeah, you know, I don't really like that 3-wave move though. Just a little weird. I do like the flag. That's fine. I do think it could push higher. And it probably will because it's probably setting up for a 1-2-1-2 right in here. Something like that. And then it kind of shoots up. CRV, same, literally the same thing. Either this or this. H-bar. H-bar looks really good. Just like ADA. So I would say H-bar, XLM, ADA, XRP are probably the top notch. And then Filecoin, SHIB, THETA. You know, diversify. Chainlink as well, man. Chainlink looks pretty damn good too. I just 1, 2, 3, 4. I just hope that this is a flat. If this is a flat, then that's 1, that's 2. Then we could be going up. But if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's A, B, and then we still need C, and then we go up, that's going to change, right? So, ICP, oh, doing all right. You know, you had 5 waves down. I believe you had major bullish divergence on the 8-day chart. So that's pretty cool. So we looked at AVAX. I think we're done. I think we are done. Monero, we looked at Monero, yeah. Look at Monero, man. So I don't know. I think we're bullish, man. I could see the bearish argument. I know it's real, but at the same time, even if we do come slamming down, I think it's still pretty damn good. Look at Near. Wow. Near looks really good too. Yeah, so imagine, man, if you had like $50,000 cash and I had $50,000 cash, we could be sitting there buying all kinds of cryptos, man. Because this is kind of the time to really want to be loading up in here. So anyways, Theta Fuel. I mean, I want to see Theta Fuel get off those lows. I mean, it basically hasn't done anything really. It looks pretty bearish compared to the other charts. I wouldn't be, you know, buying it compared to some other charts, but I know it's got massive potential, especially because what? The W This could be a massive move coming up very soon. But I want to see a little bit of evidence first. Oh yeah, XRP versus Bitcoin. This is a big deal. So XRP versus Bitcoin. It looks like it's probably coming down for a C wave. Oh, look at that. We're right on the bull market support band. Look at that, guys. We're literally right off of it. So let's see how that plays out. But there's two ideas here. And then we'll wrap her up. So basically, the first idea is you have 3 waves down. This is 3 waves up. And then we're going to get 3 waves back down and then go up, and it's going to be a flat. Or we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going into 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, that would this is like a 1, and then we have a 3-way pullback, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Or that. So it's, I mean, that's pretty much the theme. Also, total 3. Oh my God, total 3 is at the verge of a breakout, guys. If we could get this breakout, that'll be a big deal. And we have to look at the Russell. So it's already been like an hour and 15 minutes, and it feels like we're just getting started, you know? So I'm just kidding. No, this is really good. This is a really good thing, guys. We're breaking above the total 3 and the all-time high on the total 3. So this is it, man. I wish it was a little bit of a different shape. You know, you kind of got a little bit of a 3-wave shape like that, and then it kind of hit the high like that. It looks a little bit overlapping, a little bit corrective, but it could also be a reverse flag, which is also bullish. So you know, you kind of have a little reverse flag there. So it looks very good. I mean, if you look at the whole enchilada here, you can see, you know, it is a little bit dangerous. You know, you got a shoulder, you got a head, you got a shoulder. Dangerous meaning you have 5 waves up, and now you're working on 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Which is really 5 with the subwave. But the big thing is, number 1, does this break out now, which it looks like it's about to, or do we have 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 down, and then we break out later? I mean, it basically comes down to those 2 ideas. So until this idea becomes invalid and we break down and we can do this idea, I wouldn't go into 50% cash. I would wait until, if we broke below that range, I would be maybe 20% cash, you know, and then I can recycle that after I confirm it's a flat. But I hope it's not a flat, because if it is, then it only leaves us one option. And if that option fails, then, well, you know, everything gets kind of screwed up. So Dogecoin looks pretty damn good too. Dogecoin looks kind of interesting. The way it's kind of like billowing up in here, kind of like, you know, it's kind of billowing up, and then it has a little shoot off. I'm sure there's a lot more bullish charts out there. Render. I don't know about that one. Aave is one of them. That could be interesting, but not so much right at the moment. VeChain looks okay. Zcash, what's up? Damn, Zcash freaking was lit, bro. I missed that one. Damn. Yeah, there's no way I could get that. Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin's still at 125K. We'll zoom in one more time. Looks pretty good. Obviously, you're getting bearish divergence in here. So, I mean, I would say a correction's probably coming. So, and if we do get a correction, how does it consolidate, and how does the altcoins get affected by this? And then also, as far as Bitcoin dominance goes, overlaid with Bitcoin, you could see that, you know, Bitcoin kind of went down a little bit. Or now this recent pump made that, which is kind of cool. So, and then we looked at Ethereum already. Ethereum still pumping. So anyways, and then XRP looking good. So yeah, I kind of like XRP's flagging out, so that's good. So I would say too, like, just have like a little bit of a trend line right here. You know, you got a shoulder, a head, a shoulder. The measured move of that, approximately, we'll just say approximately, looking at 350, which would be perfect. So let's all say a moment, let's all have a moment of silence and prayer to the crypto gods. The gods themselves bless upon us. Please, crypto gods, allow us to fulfill the prophecy, right? Oh yeah, look at this. Thank you, crypto gods. I didn't even see that. You got an inverse head and shoulders there. No, I don't know if that would work. Yeah, it actually does work, because the shoulder is it's in the right formation as long as the head is longer than the two shoulders. So you know what? That could be an inverse head and shoulders if you want to know the truth. It's very unlikely, but I still don't like it how it's in a descending triangle. And they probably put it in formation. It's basically gonna give us 370 all-time high. They probably put it in the formation of a descending triangle to make people, it's either we're gonna break up or we're gonna break down. But if we do break down, we'll break up later, right? So what do I think? For sure, I think we're gonna break out now, just because Bitcoin broke out. We should get a little bit of a correction, but I think it will break out to the upside. If we break to the downside, if we start coming down like this, then I'm going to expect it to do that. And if we do that, then I'm going to expect it to be a 3-wave, 3, 3, 3, go. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Remember, not financial advice. And yeah, I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.